Hey guys, this is Blockchain Bernie here with my latest episode, and I'm the proud owner. I'm among the 300 first people in the world owning the Solana Saga phone. It is the first phone in the world that's built for crypto, and it has a lot of features for Web3 and all these kind of stuff. It is quite a cool thing, but it also has a number of drawbacks, and I'll go into, the good and the bad and the ugly, and just give you my first impressions of my new Saga phone. So if you like content like this, please give me a like. I really appreciate it. It's really important for the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe to my channel. And if you have questions about the Saga phone, leave me a comment on right here on YouTube, and I'm happy to discuss with you. All right, so I have been an iPhone user for many, many years. Like 10 years ago, I tried to move to Android for 3 months. I threw away my, I sold my iPhone. I was only on the latest Samsung Galaxy back in the day. But after 3 months, I just had to go back, right? For several reasons. So that would be another video, I feel. So, but for now, for the Saga phone, it's Android based, obviously, because Apple and neither Google, neither the Apple App Store nor the Google Play Store, they open their app stores. They don't open their app stores for anything crypto related or Web3 or stuff like that. It's just because of their business model, right? They take a cut of like 30% of each and everything that's going on there. And crypto is all about self custody, right? You own your own stuff, and you decide what's going on with that. And it's not like Apple or Google decides, just give me 30% and then you may, or so. You control everything in the crypto world, right? So, and Android is the operating system where you can circumvent the Google Play Store, and Solana was just able to put their own Solana DApp Store, the decentralized app store, onto that phone. So everything I'll tell you today about the first impressions is like I'm comparing it against my, iPhone 14 Pro Max that I'm using here and have been using for a few months, and compare that to my new Saga phone. So here it is, right? It feels really good, and it's a metal case here. It's not like a plastic stuff. I had that experience with the Samsungs, especially the older ones. They had this cheap feeling plastic casing here. So this is really great. It has great cameras, back and front. It only has that small little dot here, so not the big notch. So that's awesome. And then, for my iPhone, I was used to just tap on the screen to turn it on, so nothing happens here, right? So then I thought, like, I have to turn it on with the button, and it has three cool buttons here in the Solana green or turquoise color here. So I find that quite cool. So you can turn it on with that button, and then you'd have to enter your PIN code or pattern or whatever, which is quite cumbersome if you're used to like fingerprints or Face ID or stuff like that. But it has the fingerprint sensor in the back here, right? So there's a fingerprint sensor here, and you can use that with your index finger, or I have programmed the middle finger as well. So you just tap that, boom, and your phone is on, right? So I find that super cool. It's after a few days, I felt like, man, the Face ID is slightly more convenient, right? I just tap on it and then it reads my face, and I don't have to find the exact spot in the back here, right? So that's the thing, right? You usually don't see the back of the phone, right, unless you turn it around. So, but then you have to fight with your finger. You have to find the exact spot where you put your fingerprint, and if you don't find it, it won't turn on or stuff like that, right? So that's it is great to have that fingerprint sensor. I love it, but the Face ID is slightly, I would say, slightly more convenient to me, at least. All right, and then we have this phone here, and it doesn't come with a lot of bloatware, right? And with my previous experiences with Android, it was like, okay, Android is from Google, so it has all the Google apps on there, right? But then you don't buy it from Google, right? You buy it from whatever, maybe it's a Samsung phone, right? So then Samsung has all their apps on there as well, right? So you have all the Google apps and the competing Samsung apps, right? So you have an email app from Google, or email app from Samsung, chat app from Google, chat app from Samsung, right? And then probably it comes with what, a Verizon card, right? Then Verizon puts their apps there also, right? And that is kind of a crazy experience if you're used to an iPhone where everything's clean, right? But not so with this. There's no bloatware on here, right? It's just the plain Google apps. And Solana obviously does not try to compete with Google, so they don't have their own email app or their own browser or their own this and that, right? They just put their DApp Store there, and there are a few apps that are in the DApp Store and the wallets and stuff like that. So that is quite cool. The performance of this here, so the screen is awesome. So the resolution is even higher than the 14 Pro Max, and it's an OLED and everything. The colors are great, and the display is awesome. And only having this little camera notch here, as many Android phones, right? It is nice compared to the iPhone where there's that notch still. And yeah, so the only thing with Android, to me, I'm being used to iPhones and the scrolling, right? If you scroll through something on a browser or so, right, it's something feels different here, right? And I can't even tell you what it is, but over the years I've developed this feeling of how can I scroll fast and slow, and I feel Apple has put so much attention to detail to simulate some real physics and inertia, as if you push a pane of glass or so up there, right? And this is just it's more simplistic, right? It goes up and down, but you cannot give it that high impulse or low. It's I don't know. It's so that there's nothing like scrolling on an iPhone, and I feel they had that starting from the iPhone 3GS or so. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who feels that way. Please let me know in the comments what you think about that, and how compares scrolling. But the performance of the thing is awesome. So it has a great processor, and it's the same speed as the 14 Pro, and it even has more RAM, twice the RAM actually, than the iPhone 14 Pro. So that's all great. One thing was, I'm now completely into eSIMs, right? So I threw away all my physical SIM cards because I have up to eight eSIMs on this 14 Pro, right? And believe it or not, I have 4 phone numbers. For some reason, I need 4 phone numbers because I have a bunch of companies and bank accounts for all these companies, and the banks do the two-factor authentication mostly through SMS and stuff like that, right? So I need those 4 phone numbers, and I'm super happy with the 14 Pro Max. I can have them all on one phone. It even has 8 eSIMs, right? So people could have 8 phone numbers, 8 eSIMs on this. And here in the US, with, for example, T-Mobile prepaid, you get a plan for like $10 a month, right? So if you don't need a lot of data, you just need it to receive SMSs to authenticate for your bank accounts or so, $10 a month, right? So, and I was really stumped that the Solana phone has no eSIM at all, right? So it has a tray here with 2 SIMs, but it has to be physical SIMs, right? I don't have physical SIMs for any of my 4 phone numbers, right? So I'd have to go somewhere to a T-Mobile and AT&T. I'm using 2 carriers, right? Go to their store and get back some physical SIMs to put them into this phone. So yeah, those are the slight drawbacks, but otherwise, what's the reason, the raison d'être for this phone here, right? Why is it there on the world? Well, it is crypto enabled, right? So what you have here is this little DApp store, right here. So, and that's like an app store, but it's all crypto enabled apps in here, right? And by the way, on this phone, it is a chain agnostic, right? So right now it's all for Solana because Solana brought out that phone, but it works with any other chain, and it will definitely work with the Bitoku chain that we are working on. If you don't know what Bitoku is, link is down in the description. We're building a storage layer for smart contracts. Super exciting project, bitoku.io. You can buy nodes now to be part of that endeavor and run a validator node from day one. All right, so now here we have the Solana DApp Store, and I have my Phantom wallet in here. I have the Solflare wallet. You can connect to Ledger Live here, which is awesome. And I have Marinade Finance. I have Jupiter, right, which is my favorite swap platform. If I want to swap tokens on Solana, I do it with Jupiter, and I even have a video about it, which you can see here. So yeah, and there's a few NFT apps, a few social apps. So I would say right now it's about 20, 25 DApps from day one in this DApp store. And man, it's day one, right? So people need to see this thing, and maybe we as Bitoku come up with our little app and put it in that DApp store, maybe our node store, where we sell the nodes for the Bitoku chain. It can be in here. That might be a great thing. So yeah, so that is really progress. And then yeah, you have your Phantom app here. And the thing right now is it's telling me authenticate by fingerprint. I'm doing it right now. And boom, I'm in. And the difference from the Phantom app that I have on my iPhone is this one doesn't have access to my seed phrase, right? So the seed phrase is stored in some piece of hardware in this phone that is not accessible, right? So this thing doubles as a hardware wallet. So how is that, right? So you don't need a Ledger device or anything. It's just as safe as that. And obviously it's way easier to use than a Ledger wallet, because with the Ledger you only have those two buttons, and you have to, when you enter a PIN code, it's like boom, 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 and it is very finicky, right? And this is a real phone. It's super easy to use, and it's super fast to use, right? And yeah, then I minted my my Solana Genesis NFT, right? It's in my wallet here. It's the Saga Genesis NFT right here, and when you click on it, you see the number of unique holders. So right now, it is 485. So it's about 500 people that have the Solana phone right now before the official launch, right? So this is just for developers. So I think they sold over 2,000 or so, and just 500 have received it and have gone within those few days, and have gone through the hassle of minting their Saga Genesis NFT. So and that NFT gives you a lot of benefits, right? And they give everyone a starting capital, right? So you get 20 USDC and 0.01 Sol, right? So I had my 20 USDC and 0.01 Sol. So and I thought, like, man, what do I do with it? And I think it's supposed to be you use your 20 USDC, which is worth $20, right? And probably they want you to buy some nice NFTs and JPEGs and some apes and whatever it is, right? I'm not that person, actually. So what did I do? I took my 20 USDC and swapped it into Sol, which is super easy, right? You can swap it right in the Phantom wallet. but they take some hidden fees for that, so I would not recommend doing that. But we have the Jupiter app here also. Yeah, so with the Jupiter app, boom, you can swap from A to B, right? And it finds you the best exchange and decentralized exchange where you can do that. So I swapped my $20, 20 USDC into Sol, and I staked, guess what? I staked all that Sol, right? It was like 0.86 Sol or so. Staked it to our Bitoku Solana validator, right? Which is doing great, and we're above 100,000 Sol of stake now. So everyone who has staked there, thank you very much. About the experience about running our Solana validator, I have a video about that right here, and how to run the Solana validator and our experience with it. And there's an update from a few months later, and that video is right here. Okay, so yeah, am I happy with that Saga phone? I like it, and I could use it as my first phone if I hadn't the iPhone. It will still be tough for me to just not use that iPhone anymore. I'll definitely keep it, and I have my 8 eSIMs on there and stuff. But yeah, for people that are not tied into the Apple ecosystem, it is definitely great as a first phone. And then you have your crypto wallet in there. You own your keys, right? Because it has the seed vault. So no one has access to your seed phrase because it's in that secure element that's in that phone here. So it doubles as a crypto wallet, as a hardware wallet, and it has the DApp Store with lots of exciting dapps in there. And I'm sure it's growing, and it's growing. I mean, 500 users after a week or so of closed user group release for just developers is still not that much, right? But I'm sure it will be growing, and people will talk about it and show it to others, and I think this is the first step for changing the world and having crypto everywhere, having Web3 everywhere. And what we are building is the storage layer for blockchain and for smart contracts, which is needed to actually run real Web3 dApps, and they will run on this phone as well. And we might even have our node store here in the DApp Store. Will be cool stuff, and there are not many dApps in there, so people will see it. It might be a great marketing step to do that. All right, so yeah, those were the first impressions. If I forgot anything, do you want to know something about the Saga, about the experience I had with it? Is there anything more you want to know? Please let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to discuss everything with you guys. Alrighty, thanks for watching, and as always, catch you later.